there's a lot of themes that we see in P-Valley, which again, the show is called P-Valley and it's on Stars. And I'm talking to Katori Hall, who is the creator, the writer, the executive producer. And one of the things that I appreciate is, if I'm not mistaken, all the episodes are directed by women.
Yeah.
So we are talking about a female lens in which we are seeing this storyline play out in a strip club in the Mississippi Delta. So like when you talk about making sure that the right eyes are on this, the right eyes are on this.
Yes.
So let's talk about that, about the importance of making sure that this story, this story about body autonomy, about women being fully the owners of themselves, their personhood, how that was it was able to be reflected, knowing that the people behind the scenes were also women.
Yeah, the female gaze was what we were aiming for at all times, from the writing to the directing to the cinematography. And what I mean by that is, a story that is told through the eyes of women, a story that centers a woman's experience, without, feeling gratuitous. And it could, a show about a strip club could easily have stepped into exploitative territory, just because you need nudity in order to tell the truth of this world. The nudity is a job requirement for dancers. And so because we knew that we were pushing up against a long history of women's bodies being used as backdrops or just being used as props or the focus just being on their body and not their actual experience and who they are. We knew that we needed to put forth a different visual articulation of what it means to be a woman in this world. And so when I was interviewing directors, I interviewed a few men, but they always the question of like, what is the female gaze wrong? And there's no right or wrong answer, really. It's the fact that they didn't even have an answer half the time. There was like a few who had an answer, but most of them didn't, because they haven't had to think about it. They haven't had to think about it. And so my job got real easy when it all female directors, because the women who interviewed, they knew the history. They had already been engaged with it, and in terms of dismantling those images in their own work. And so when they came to the table with their ideas of what the female gaze should look like and should be, I was like, okay, I know the show will be in good hands. I know my actresses will be in good hands if I pass the baton to these women. And so I was so honored to work with this amazing collective, from I call her our new G, Karina Evans, to our OG, Kimberly Pierce, to Geeta Patel, to Tasha Smith, Tasha Smith actually used to be a dancer. She actually danced in Atlanta and actually in New York as well. And so I really wanted women who had a very particular lived experience to come into the space and mix their creativity with what they knew. And it was the best decision that I made, because, the nudity never feels salacious. It's always in service to the story. It's always about, showing the world authentically, but never kind of lingering on the female body in a way that feels icky. It's about appreciating what a woman's body looks like, but we focus more on what a woman's body can do versus on what a woman's body looks like.
Oh, I like that. What a woman's body can do. I think that the thing, even as somebody who, yes, I'm identify as gay, but I'm still a man. And even with that lens in which I'm viewing something, you can tell the level of respect that is had for women through the course of this show. And I think that's because of obviously all the behind the scenes people that make that happen. Yeah. But the queer person in me got really excited because of the introduction of the character of Uncle Clifford, who, for lack of a better way of describing, is sort of the house mother. Yes. And is somebody who is non-binary, this queer character who I love is revered in a way that you're afraid most queer people of color might not be in the environment in which we're watching this play out. So if we could talk a little bit about Uncle Clifford, because Uncle Clifford's been around, at least in your life, for quite some time.
Absolutely. So Uncle Clifford is a fusion of three living ancestors. My mother, who is an extremely strong woman and don't no man want to mess with her. Mess with Cat May, she will get you. So a mixture of my mom, my dad, who is very nurturing, though very tough, and my real life Uncle Clifford. Something that I always do in my work is I'll name a character after someone I love and respect and revere. And Uncle Clifford, in terms of his personality, he is sassy and saucy, even though he's definitely not non-binary. But the character quirks really, descend from people who I have grown up watching my entire lives. And so I was very honored that Nico Anand, who plays Uncle Clifford and is a dear friend of mine, has been on the journey with me, this 10-year journey with me. And he actually played Uncle Clifford when it was a play in 2015 at Mixed Blood. And so the fact that he's been living with the character of Uncle Clifford for so long shows, because it feels like it's a documentary and you're just watching a real person instead of, an actor playing Uncle Clifford. And in terms of how Uncle Clifford identifies, it's definitely non-binary, queer, but it's interesting that Uncle Clifford embraces the pronoun she. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that Uncle Clifford is never going to let go of the name Uncle Clifford. So in embracing the pronoun she and also embracing Uncle Clifford, you are articulating the non-binariness. And I also think it's very reflective of where Uncle Clifford is. I think if Uncle Clifford grew up north, Uncle Clifford would be like, I'm a they. Or I'm a Zay,
Yes.
Style on it. But because it's the South, I feel like anybody who embraces a level of femininity, people you get a bit confused. And so I think embracing the pronoun she is an act on Uncle Clifford's part. It's an individual choice to show how she is in solidarity with women, particularly in a space that it's helpful to have a man kind of running the club, just because of all the riffraff who roll through, and you see Uncle Clifford oscillating between these masculine and feminine energies constantly throughout the show, using her male privilege when need be. Especially like when she needs to go to the check cashing place and lay down the law. Like, I ain't paying this bill. Like, you need to pay this check. Swinging the nigga around. But, very quickly falling into the wigs and the hair. And there's a performance of femininity, but I also think there's a true femininity that Uncle Clifford can access. I think Uncle Clifford is definitely a two-spirit entity in this.
I like that.